Welcome to Interior Analysis. I'm Evan Westman.
I'm Jelani T. Kelly.
And I'm on a boat. I'm Angel Michelli.
And today we are talking about Titanic. This isn't one of my, favorites. We typically try to have our own picks be stuff that we like. And I don't hate this, but I more picked it because it's just, it's so big. We kind of...
Like the boat.
Should talk about it. Yeah, like the boat. You really can't deny the ambition of this, and, this was my fourth time seeing it. Holds up pretty well. I also just, this is not entirely related, but I was curious after watching this, so I went and did some math. James Cameron has made, his last three movies have been three of the four biggest grossing movies ever. So I decided to test, has any other director in that time span since 1997 made as much money as him? I don't think so. The three directors I thought to test were Nolan, J.J. Abrams, and the Russos. A couple of them come close. The Russos are the only ones that get within $1 billion, but they don't cut. Yeah. They don't make the cut. And they also have, that's just because they did 3 Avengers movies. That's basically where all of it comes from.
That's insanity. I honestly didn't even know this made $2 billion like Avatar did until I was looking at the box office. I'm like, wait a second. This also made how is this man just not living on a space station or something at this point?
Because he spent all his money making Avatar movies. It actually, I checked, it made close to $2 billion in its original run. I'm sure if you adjust for inflation, it'd probably be more than $2 billion by today's standards. But I don't think it crossed 2 until re-releases. But even then,
Oh, yeah. And it's had many re-releases, too. For sure.
And so have the Avatars. Well, I guess probably just the first one at this point. Even if you take those away, I think he still wins that box office fight. I want to start with Angel, because you've seen this before. Jelani hasn't, and we'll get to you. But Angel, what number time was this? How did you get introduced to this?
Number time, it's hard to say, because this is a very, very long movie, which I don't think I realized until I was an adult. This is one of those movies that was always on TV, and my mom really liked it. So, I definitely watched this for the first time with my mom. And I probably watched the whole way through that time. But then after that, I would see it, sporadically on TV to the point where I'd probably seen the whole thing in pieces 5 times. But as far as how many times I've seen it all the way through, this might only be the second or the third. Just again because of the length and just because of the accessibility of it. It's a long movie, and we're going to talk about that more. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely liked it more than I remember originally, because I remembered it kind of being just a really long romantic movie, and I'm like, it's fine. I like Leo, I like Kate, I like most of the actors in this, so I'm like, it's fine. But it's just on this rewatch, I noticed a few things. I like the setup more than I remember, because I know we've talked a little bit separately about the frame story, but I actually remember being really compelled as I was watching, and I'm like, oh, this is a little longer than I remember, but I'm kind of a nerd, so I like getting to see all the, the computer imagery and diagrams of the ship sinking. I like watching them do research and cleaning up all the artifacts. I like seeing all the dives and stuff like that. Those are always really cool. So I was very on board, even when I realized oh, it's been 30 minutes and we're still in 1997, so I did really like that. And then it kind of seamlessly leads into the rest of the story in a really good way. So I was oddly expecting it to drag a little bit, but it kind of didn't. And I can appreciate that. This is one of the few 3-hour movies where I definitely didn't really feel the length until I started thinking over it again and watching clips and stuff for, the podcast and everything. So, all in all, very solid and not a whole lot that I would have put on the cutting room floor. There's a little bit in the back half, but it's not that bad. So yeah, I really liked it on this one. I really appreciate too how the ultimate message is not necessarily a love conquers all feel with very one-dimensional characters, because those I tend to zone out pretty quick. These all feel like real people that had real lives, before and some after all this happened. So everything felt very full and real. they spent a lot of time like building up the world in this ship through these characters and kind of giving us an idea of what the world was like at the time. And also, one thing I'd forgotten about, there's a lot of historical figures that they portray in the cast. Like there's some fictional characters, but a lot of these other people they meet are actors playing real historical people. Like Kathy Bates is playing an activist from that time. The captain, the shipbuilder are obviously real. But there's like that John Jacob Astor guy. I don't remember. I don't know why I remember him, but he was a real person. Like all these are people that were actually on the Titanic, so it was kind of cool getting to see all that. So yeah, I had a good time.
Okay. And Jelani, this was your first time, so what'd you think?
First time watching. It was cool. I liked it. I thought I'd hate it. I put off watching it for a while. I don't know if I would have ever watched this on my own. Like, just to watch it. I don't think I cared enough. So thanks, Evan.
Yeah. Well, I figured even if you hated it, which I was expecting, this just seems like one of the movies that if you're going to be in the movie business, you got to see it. Like, I feel like this, The Matrix, probably
you
couple
gotta see
others,
it once.
but like, you got to just see it just so that you can
Citizen
be in a
Kane.
room.
Citizen Kane, I haven't seen yet.
I
haven't either.
don't know that in this day and age you necessarily need to.
So I knew the ending. Who didn't? I'd seen clips of I'll never let go Jack, followed by Rose immediately letting him go. And so many memes of how they both could fit on the door. The trivia, I don't know how much you guys are paying attention to the trivia, but once I saw there was trivia, like a little like a quarter of the way through the movie, I kept like moving my mouse to check the trivia, and I kind of got addicted, which was annoying. The trivia said Cameron confirmed they both could have fit on the door, and they even did a test run with stunt performers. First with just the stunt performers sitting on the door, and then Cameron was like, well, they went through a lot of strenuous, activities before. They were running up and down and swimming, so then they did a test where they did everything Jack and Rose did and then got on the door, and they still fit. Then he just said it was about Jack preserving Rose, not himself. Visually, it's pretty fantastic. I'm still wondering how they pulled this off in the 90s. Like, it's pretty good. Not a lot of CGI used or anything, which is good. Well, for the 90s.
Yeah, they built like a full like a half scale model of the ship, like a whole like half of the ship they actually physically built, which is super cool.
Also, some of my notes are in response to Evan's initial stuff, but PG-13 with nudity, what would the MPAA think?
I think the MPAA got convinced by the budget and James Cameron's poll, probably. I think he probably had to fight for it, would be my guess.
Yeah. Was it... I don't know if it was necessary at all. Probably could have...
Probably not.
I think no.
Could have cut around that, but okay. Anyway, Evan, I want to say my other notes, but...
To respond to a couple things you guys said, Angel, I agree with you on the, they feel like full people with full lives for Jack and Rose. And maybe for Victor Garber's the actor, what's the guy's name? Thomas Andrews, the guy who designed the ship. I agree for them.
And Kathy Bates.
And Kathy Bates, for sure.
She's probably fourth place, but for everyone else, I think James Cameron... I feel like in a lot of his stuff, he has a problem with writing people as stereotypes, and I think everyone else kind of falls into that. I don't think it is as bad here, just it's shallow and it's a little bit annoying, but I don't think it's quite as bad as in the way he does it in Avatar. I'll leave that alone, but
I was gonna say Avatar, yeah.
Yeah.
Those characters are not, even the main characters, not super fleshed out. I think it works there because it's a very sci-fi genre type story. So I think it works in that case. But here, you need the characters to feel full.
There's a YouTuber, Jax Films, who it was a while ago, but he went around when Avatar was still hot, the first one, and asked people, "Oh, you liked Avatar? What was the main character's name?" no, it was like a 5-minute
Yeah.
video. Nobody could remember his name.
Yeah, I think
crazy.
that's where this kind of... Because, like, for Avatar, like, he doesn't do it with anyone. He at least, like, spends time characterizing Jack and Rose. And, you know, it's not like there's a lot of time. We'll get into this in my topic probably a bit. But I did want to, like, just call that out, because I think it's a problem that he has across some of his movies. I'm also not upset about the door thing as much as everyone, like, clowns on it. I feel like you don't need to justify it that much, because, like, for one thing, it's in character for Jack to, like, stay in the water. Like, I don't have any problem believing that. I also don't have any problem believing Rose would stay on the board, because I forgot about this. She just straight up lets that one blonde woman die.
Well, what
like,
was she
that-
supposed to do to help her?
Well, like, maybe pull her up. Like, I think you could cut it out. Like, it's,
Or are you talking about the woman when they were hanging off the ship and stuff
yeah,
like that?
as it's like,
and, like,
as the
she
back
fall-
half. Mhm.
Yeah,
They have this
um,
shot where it's like, it's Rose's face and then it's this blonde woman's face, and I was like, oh, wait, does she, like, help her up maybe or something? And no, like,
No,
maybe
she just watches
30
her.
seconds later, the woman falls. I was just like, bro, come on. Like, it costs her nothing.
I don't understand the point of that.
You know why that scene is so weird? Because I was thinking about it as I was watching it. I found out, so there are scenes that were cut and storylines that were cut. I'm pretty sure that woman was supposed to fall in love with Fabrizio, who is Jack's best friend, the Italian
most
guy.
Italian
yeah.
dude to ever Italian.
The Italian
that
man, yeah.
he
He's so much fun to watch, and, like, he's a fun character. But a lot of his stuff got cut, and one of them, I think he fell in love with that woman, and so I think they're supposed to know her, at least in passing a little bit. So I think that's partially a product of that, like the fact is, like, she's looking at her like she knows her, kind of, and I'm like, that's weird because I've never seen this woman before.
Just cut that shot out then, if you're going to cut everything else.
Yeah, I think so. Like, you could have cut that part out then, or just keep that storyline in. The movie's already long. I would be fine with another 5 minutes for Fabrizio and this woman. I would have been okay with that.
He was supposed to die differently, too. I can't read, I told you I got addicted to reading the trivia. He was supposed to be swimming towards one of the boats with Cal in it.
This is Fabrizio?
Yeah, he's supposed to say,
He
like,
does die.
He was supposed to die differently. Like,
okay.
He's gonna say it's my destiny to go to America, and then Cal would punch him in the face, knocking him unconscious, and say, it's that way, and then he'd drown. But he died by smokestack in the movie, so...
Yeah, I forgot about that, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, like, I was not expecting it, and then it just, they didn't pull any punches. You watch as it crushes him, I'm like,
yeah.
Full sadness.
They go hard with the disaster sequences. Like, you gotta give them that.
I'll get into that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good filmmaking on display.
Yeah. The only... I kind of took issue with, like, this time around, Rose not giving anyone the diamond. Like, I get that it's, like, kind of this symbol, and it feels like... The first time you watch it, it feels right. It's like, oh, you dropped the diamond back in the ocean. But then I was like, okay, Bill Paxton has been looking for this for however long, and, like, just give it to your granddaughter. Or why did she not, like...
life-changing money in her hands. Generation-changing money in her hands.
She wasted so much time. I'm like, I want to get into this when we get to the ending, because I'm like, I'll go on about this, but damn.
Yeah.
Go on.
I get
the
it.
heart.
Yeah, we got...
Like Celine Dion, I understand.
Because she, in the movie, the song...
yeah, yes, we all watched the credits.
I, too, have listened to the song Jelani T. Kelly Will Go On. I listen to it every day.
By Celine Dion.
By Celine Dion.
You were like 3 months old when this came out. She would have had time to know about you.
Was this 96 or 97?
I think it was 97.
97.
I think it was like very end of 97, I want to say.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. You
Guys,
two
there was
were
a
alive.
Titanic 2 that came out in 97.
Oh, yeah, it premiered in Tokyo November 97.
Yeah, there's also, I looked this up because one night in college, me and a couple of my friends were just looking at, like, the IMDb bottom 100 list. There's, like, at least two, I think possibly more, animated Titanic movies that came out after this, like trying to catch on to the trend. We watched a few clips from it. It is like
The one with the rapping dog.
the one with the yep, that one.
What?
And yes, Angel, look this up. Titanic: The Legend Goes On. Don't do it now, but do it later.
I'll do it later, but I've never heard of this.
I've never done any hallucinogenics. I am too scared to. I think that might like it's like dream logic. It's like fever dream logic. Just that one scene.
Oh
and
God.
I've watched a couple other clips from it out of like just morbid curiosity a couple times.
It's like Jodorowsky's Titanic.
I only vaguely know what Jodorowsky is like, but maybe. I think more like if not even if Minions were in the Titanic, if Minions made Titanic. Think of it like that.
I need
maybe.
to see this film immediately. I need to leave.
Just watch
and
the
go watch
one
this
clip.
film.
I think it'll give you enough of a sense. But I think they were just trying to just do the... I mean, you see that with all sorts of, like, knockoff direct-to-DVD stuff. There's a whole market for it. But this might have been the origin. And if you look at the posters, too, like, every face on it is, like, there's very clearly a DiCaprio, there's a Winslet, there's a Cal, there's even, I think, like, Rose's mom shows up. Like, it's very obviously trying to, like, trick your kid into, like, oh, Titanic for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Which just shouldn't be a thing because it's Titanic.
No.
Like,
No.
Anyway.
Let your kid watch Lion King or something.
right. Where people also die. In
No,
tragic
nothing
ways.
tragic ever happens in
But it's
Lion King.
animals
It's a
this
wonderful
time.
family film.
I had a hard time latching into Rose at the beginning. Like, I knew the whole backstory, but it is kind of hard because she has such, like, first world problems. And one of her early voiceover lines...
And she's
is, like,
aware of it.
She is aware of it, yeah.
Because she says, what does she say? Like a princess?
She
a
says,
rich
like,
girl?
I know what you're thinking, poor little rich girl.
Rich girl, yeah.
How could she possibly have any problems? And he's like, no, I wasn't thinking that. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, you were. And so
You
was I.
definitely, yeah.
That's what everybody is.
That line comes kind of late, and there's another scene that I want to get to in a minute that I think maybe should have come earlier. But like one of her first lines in voiceover is, "To me, it was a slave ship." I was like, "Oh my god, fucking calm down!" Like, it just
The way it's written and delivered, it sounds a little more dramatic. And I think it's because it's voiceover. Honestly. Like, I think if she had said that
Yeah.
to Jack, it would have come off differently.
I mean, it's not great either way. You could get that like, and here's the thing too: the ordering of how they do it, I think, could have been better because there's a scene later where she's talking to her mom about like having to marry Cal, and we understand that she doesn't want to, and her mom says like, "Do you want us to be destitute?" We get like the motivation for it. It's not Rose doing it out of selfishness. It's kind of an obligation to her mom. But that scene doesn't come for a good hour, I think. And I remembered that detail from having watched this before, but I was like, maybe that scene should have been earlier because
Yeah.
you don't get any sense of that. Like, you get that there's pressure from her mom, but I feel like maybe it might have felt a little bit like very basic exposition to have that be like the first scene between them. But then we don't really have as much of a question because I think it would have been stronger to do that earlier. Otherwise, she does just kind of seem like this whiny rich person for
Yeah,
the
you
first
get more sympathy
hour.
for her if it comes earlier. Like, and it's an important part to the story too. Like, it's weird that they saved it for such a later time. Maybe it was to like add some empathy for the mom, but I'm not sure that it worked at that point because by then you kind of hate the mom. So
Yeah. I think it's too late.
Like-
It's not that it's too late, because it still does, like, I think it does help, but especially when you have her running to the back of the ship when we've barely spent any time with her, we don't understand how she feels so trapped, and I think that's an important part to it. So we just kind of have to take her word for it in voiceover that she did feel this trapped. And I think that scene shows it perfectly well, and they already wrote it, so... And, like, you could even, like, I feel like you could even do it in post. Like, that scene is just, like, her mom, like, tying up her dress to go, like, you could even just have that be not on the ship. Block it in a way, or cut around it, so that it looks like they're just in like a hotel. I think you could just put that scene early, and it gets rid of that.
Slaves are mentioned twice in this movie. About once.
Yeah,
by Rose,
Jack
and
does
then
it again.
Jack does it, and neither is warranted. It's like, y'all
What
are
does
white
Jack
people
say? I don't
on
remember that.
I forget what he says exactly.
I think it's like back to the slaves' quarters or something when he's like
Yeah.
gonna leave the dinner or something.
Yeah, neither was warranted. I'm like, you're white people on a rich boat. Please don't compare this to a slave ship in any capacity. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like-
had this thought too. There's very few people of color in this film, and I was talking to my
Yeah.
brother and sister about it. I thought it was very weird because I don't remember that. But
I'm
like,
fine with
even,
it though, because most of these people died. So
Well, and it's also a boat coming from Europe, so
True.
probably there weren't.
but
I
it's
would
from
expect-
London.
Yeah.
I expect in real life though there probably weren't a ton of people of color on the boat because
Yeah.
I mean if it was coming from the U.S. that might be because we're a lot more diverse than Europe, I think. But even at that time, also like the way Cameron writes all the minor characters, I'm kind of glad there aren't any people of color. I'd be a little worried. Like the way he writes the Na'vi. I'm not really the best person to critique that, but I would be kind of scared to see him do that. I think it might have
I mean,
been
look
better
at the
for
way he wrote
everyone.
Fabrizio. So
Yeah, like, do
Oh,
we really
man.
want him doing that for, like, I don't think I have any Italian in me, and I'm almost offended on behalf of Italians for that portrayal.
might have gotten a rapping black guy in this movie, just like the rapping dog.
We if enough minds had been in the room at the right time, maybe. Thank God we didn't have that.
No, that's in Titanic too. Yeah. Okay, really minor tangent. I don't know if you guys have seen the TV show Homecoming on Amazon.
No.
It's based on like a podcast, like an audio podcast. But there's a hilarious story that one of the main characters tells his therapist, I think, and it's basically how they tricked a guy when they were in the army into thinking that he loved the movie Titanic, so they tricked him into thinking that there was a sequel called Titanic Rising, and he spent years and years searching for it. And they're like, yeah, it's like deleted scenes from the old movie, and it like brings in all these other minor characters. They came up with this whole big storyline. This thing went on for years. It was so funny. Yeah. The story unfortunately ends tragically, but the actual story of the Titanic Rising stuff itself is really funny. You guys should check it out.
Okay.
I have one more initial note. The class critique theme, I think it's half-assed decently. I think he also half-asses theme fairly well in Avatar 1, not so much in 2.
3/4 ass.
No, I don't think I'm going to give him quite that much credit. But across those three movies, I feel like Cameron always half-asses his theme. I don't feel like he does a fantastic job, but he never lets you miss it. Props in a way there. I do feel like this is a little bit toothless. It's just kind of like, wow, rich people suck, don't they? And that is kind of the end of it. But it's at least like naturally arising from like just the way the boat is set up. Like you do kind of need to bring it up. But
This is Snowpiercer before Snowpiercer.
kind of. I think I was actually thinking of
Boat
Snowpiercer.
piercer. Water piercer? Water piercer.
Berg Piercer.
Sea piercer.
Yeah.
Sea piercer.
If they had been on the train from Snowpiercer, they could have tanked that iceberg. Like,
Why is
Could-
Chris Evans
kept
not in
going.
this movie? That's what I want to know.
yeah, he could have punched the iceberg so hard.
Talking about how babies taste. I'm
Could've done
sorry,
without
that
that.
line that line is stuck in my head.
And then
Yep.
Tilda Swinton is the designer of the boat for some reason. Or wait,
Oh, I
no,
was
Ed
gonna say
Harris is
she's
the
the-
designer. Tilda Swinton is...
She's the captain.
No, Tilda Swinton would be like... Who's... I don't know what the equivalent of her character is here.
Lovejoy.
Loved... Maybe so. Maybe she's...
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, she is kind of Lovejoy, isn't she? Yeah.
I forgot about Lovejoy too. He's like kind of like fun to watch sometimes.
He was supposed to be
Like,
played by
just-
Harrison Ford.
Oh, I could see that.
Ooh,
Trivia.
that would have been great. But honestly, that also would have been very distracting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like too big of an actor for that role.
Too big of an actor to not be like your lead or to be very, because he's like involved with the leads, but he's not like, I don't know. It would have been an odd. It would have taken me out of it a little bit.
I wouldn't buy him taking orders from Cal. I'd be like, no, Harrison Ford wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Now, if he was Cal, that might be a different story.
That'd be a
That
way
I
different
could
story.
see that.
Yeah, I could see it. You
I
don't
think
see
he'd
him
be a little
playing
too
like a
old.
slimy bad guy very much. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Name a better duo than Evan and follow through themes. That is your biggest gripe with movies, it seems. I've been noticing a pattern.
I'll raise you Trisha and follow through themes. She goes even more into that than I do, I think.
I said you. I
Yeah.
mentioned Trisha.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying she does that more than I do.
Yeah, but it's only us
That's the
three
better
here.
duo.
Yeah, she's.
Of the three of us, yeah.
Now, if Trisha comes back, we could talk about it.
Yeah, I think theme is more her brand than me.
You hate when themes aren't.
It is followed through here. Like, I'll give it that. Like I said, I think it does well half-assing theme. Like, I didn't go through my whole checklist that I made for the video. But I did remember thinking of it with Avatar, because I think I made that video, like, within a month of Avatar 2 coming out. And I was like, this does kind of, like, miss the mark on, like, half-assing theme.
Isn't theme what we started with for the short film?
It
Like,
was,
that's
yeah.
that's like the first. All right, what is this about?
Well, I think it was a starting point. I think we mostly started with what can we actually make. Anyway, that was my last note for the initials. So let's get into the first topic. My topic is managing runtime. So elephant in the room, this movie's long. I think you can cut it down a decent amount, even just in the edit. But I wanted to look at how it uses its runtime. One obvious thing, I clocked it this time. The exact first half is just characters, and the second half is all syncing. Like, the iceberg hit happens like exact middle. I think if you factor in credits, it maybe doesn't split it quite as perfectly, but for the like meter on my TV, it was like, yep, dead center. So I think that's a smart balance for what it's trying to do. I was gonna ask this question, but I think you guys have already given the answer. Do we need the frame story in present day? I think no.
No. No, we definitely don't need it. It doesn't add anything. I don't think it necessarily takes away from it, though. And maybe it's just because I liked watching those scenes, but, like, you could easily cut those out, especially when the beginning of the movie is that opening credits with, like, the montage of the old-timey photographs. Like, to do that and then to make us go to present day and then to go back to 1912, especially when I think there's one scene in the middle of the movie that reminds us that the frame story is even happening. But for a good hour straight, we're in 1912. And then that scene happens, and then we're in 1912 for another, like, hour and 15 minutes, and then we get the ending with the frame story. Like, you could cut it out, and it would change nothing about the film, essentially. Like, you would still be with the characters, and especially, too, like, the setup for the actual frame story doesn't really do anything except push us back into the past. That's all that it does. Like, the Heart of the Ocean, to me, is a lot less important than I thought it was when I had initially seen it. Watching it this time, it's almost entirely irrelevant.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really,
it really
just there to
doesn't
like
matter.
to justify why Bill Paxton is researching the Titanic.
Exactly.
And
I forgot it was there until Billy Zane is like, oh, I put it in the jacket, and then I put the jacket on her. And I'm like, oh yeah. Okay, that's how they get the diamond. The diamond that I forgot about for the last 2 hours because they barely talked about it.
I was on my
Like,
phone until we got into the past. Most of the beginning can be cut. I don't need it. I don't need the frame at all. And I don't think I knew about it going in, and I was annoyed how long it took for us to just go back into the past, because the movie that I was aware of was the 1912 timeline. So
I'm struggling to come up with like a solid justification for it, because I didn't like fully do a time breakdown, but I think a good 30 minutes is the frame story. The first 20 is all the frame story, which I think
yeah.
even if you keep it, you could do that in 8. We don't need... James Cameron loves submarines, apparently, and I think the first, like, 5 minutes of this is just him making an excuse to mess around with some submarines.
I mean, that's why he made the movie. That's why he makes a
Yeah.
lot of his movies. Like, whenever there's a new leap in technology, he makes a new movie, and that's not a bad thing. It's just different from what a lot of other people do. Like, the reason he took forever to make Way of Water was because the underwater technology wasn't there. But then he's like, as soon as it was there, he's like, all right, we're gonna do this.
The
And
Titanic.
then, he made another 3-hour movie.
The Titanic turned into a submarine.
Oh.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Yep.
Yeah.
I ocean what you did there.
I mean, it was just awful. But it was, you may not know this, but the pool in Titanic is still full of water.
I bet that's true.
What?
That's where people should have hung out.
Because it's
Probably
at
a
the
little
bottom of
warmer.
it's at the bottom of the ocean.
It really okay. I thought you'd get
Yeah.
that one a little faster. Yeah,
Wait, there was a pool.
It's okay.
That's
It's
where I was
funnier because I
confused.
explained it.
No, I was confused. When was there a pool on the ship?
I
We don't see a
I
pool.
wouldn't be surprised. They had a whole bunch of other stuff. Like it
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
shock me if they had like a sauna and a pool type of thing. They probably had plumbing. So
Also, like, what baffles me and scares me is the ship is like nothing in comparison to like a modern day cruise ship.
True.
Have you guys ever seen that comparison picture where the Titanic is like? Let me see if I can find it.
I believe it, but
Yeah, no, I believe it too. But they don't let you feel that because, like, there's a huge montage showing just the whole grandiosity of the ship. Like,
yeah,
it's a huge element of this.
I think that's a big plus for the film. Like you do feel like this is the biggest boat ever when it shows. Like the entire time, I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, this is the biggest boat ever. I would have believed that nobody ever topped it.
That scene where they're showing the pistons moving under as they're taking off, like, that's so cool. They do that thing where they, like, kind of expand it with, like, almost like CGI painting where it looks like it's infinite. That whole section, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
I just put a Google link.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like
That's like
4 times
2,
bigger.
3 Titanics. Yeah, that's insane.
I like that they let you feel the scale, though. That's a thing that I feel like gets lost in a lot of modern movies. Like, I really noticed it when I was making the Big Robots video, because a lot of those early movies, you feel like the robots are huge, and then by the time you get to, like, Transformers 6 and Pacific Rim Uprising, like, they don't bother making them feel big anymore, and it really lacks. And I think this does a great job of just letting you feel the scale of it. Like, just there's good filmmaking going on with that. To go back to, like, just do we need the frame story? Like, I was gonna say at first that we get voiceover from Rose, but I don't think we need it. Like, that old Rose voiceover, we're shown what, like, everything that she says, basically. I think we could just be shown that a little bit quicker. The one thing that I feel like it allows you to have is, like, she has the line, it was the ship of dreams or something, which you do need older Rose to tell you that, because younger Rose doesn't feel that way. So sure, that's like one place that it is sort of necessary. I don't think you really need that line. There's enough awe from the other characters. But in their defense, like, she's the POV character. That doesn't justify 30 minutes of frame story.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, Angel, like, a lot of what it's there to do is just tie it with the Heart of the Ocean, which I think is an expendable part of the 1912 storyline. You would have to rework a few things. Like, you can't just pull it out in the edit. Like, there's a few sequences that get justified. Like, a lot of what happens in the middle with, like, Jack getting framed. Like, you kind of have to figure out some new ways to, like, fill that space and create conflict there.
Sure. And I like that conflict too. I think it's cool because it gives Rose, it adds an extra layer of tension as Rose has to, like, go and find him and, like, actually get him out. Like, it adds stuff in the element of it, like, being a disaster movie where they have to solve problems. Like, that's fine. But there's other ways to do that.
It's incorporated well. Like, it's a MacGuffin. It doesn't take up a crazy amount of space. I think it's not really worth the whole thing. Like, you could even keep it, and I think just, like, cut down how much time we spend in 1997. Like, that, I think, would maybe make it more worth it. Because it does work. Like, it's not like there's plot holes there. It's just, like, do we need all of it? And I don't think we need all of it. The only other thing, like, I guess the frame story does help with the ending, and we'll talk more about the ending, but I don't know if you, again, you don't need to spend as long on it, but I do like getting to see at the end that, like, Rose has lived this full life. So the frame story does allow for that.
No, we could have just used a picture montage just out of place. Like, that would work just fine.
I agree.
We can also assume a lot because the way that it's set up, like her family's alive, but she's finally free. Like she's able to, as far as they know, she's died in the wreck, so she's essentially starting her life over. So we can kind of assume that she's more free than she's ever been.
Yeah,
you know?
And also the frame story, in some ways, you could argue robs the movie of tension to a certain extent. Like, and we'll probably talk about this later, but like the thing that I've always heard said as like the setup, like everyone knows the boat sinks, so you can't like pull a bait and like you're not going to trick anyone with that. But these are two fictional people, so we don't know if they survive, but we do know Rose survives because she's old.
Yeah,
we don't know about Jack.
Yeah.
So
unless it's
like,
not Rose and it's somebody else, it's actually what's his name, Lovejoy.
It's actually Lovejoy, and
he's wearing a Mission
Impossible creates a lot
mask.
of questions. Psych. Got it after all these years.
Tom Cruise cruise ship.
Oh, okay. I feel like Tom
now-
Cruise was definitely considered for this role.
Now we need a cruise ship. Isn't there a cruise ship disaster movie? Is it Deep Rising or something?
I think Poseidon might be one.
I don't know if it
probably
was a cruise
Poseidon
ship.
is one of those, yeah.
I don't know if it was a cruise ship though.
Oh wait, no, he wasn't in Poseidon. That was different people. He was in something else.
I don't think Tom Cruise is in it, but I think that's just a boat disaster. How do we feel like if we move beyond the frame story? Because I think we've all agreed and made a lot of points for why that doesn't need to be as long as it is, or even there at all, maybe. How do we feel about how the runtime is used for the 1912 storyline?
It's good. The relationship between Jack and Rose is really the glue in the first half to me. I buy it, and it's pretty important for what I view as a romantic tragedy. One of the only things, and this is still in line with the relationship, so one of the only things I've never liked, but I'll give the movie a pass, given the year of its release, is the she's not like other girls trope. How hard I rolled my eyes when Rose picks up the beer mug and chugs it, and the dumbass face Jack makes when he's like, "Oh, she can chug a beer. She's not like other girls." I hate that so much. So much. That is all. Thank you.
I don't roll my eyes quite as hard at that moment, but I could do without it. But I don't even know if you can say 1997 was like early enough to like. I think it might have been played out at that point.
Yeah, because it's mostly 80s.
Yeah.
That
well, I think it is still like a worthwhile moment just because you see that she can hang with like lower class people.
We saw that already. We didn't
Yeah.
need that moment. But she was already dancing. She was vibing. She's laughing at the dudes because they're like headbutting each other, whatever the hell they were doing, and getting back up and like, give me another beer, and like, and then she was she was dancing. I didn't need that moment.
That particular one was
I hate that.
was unnecessary, but
I
they were just
hate
kind of rolling
that.
with it. Was this before or after the spitting scene? Also, I feel like it was after.
That was
after.
After.
It was after. I think we kind of established things in that anyway.
Yeah,
And it's
and
kinda
that was
like-
something I've never seen. It was gross as hell. Something I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Within that trope, so I wasn't rolling my eyes. But that's God. I just that specifically, or if like a woman like dude's smoking and she takes a cigarette out of his mouth and starts like.
It's because that particular thing has been done so many times.
Anything along those lines. Ugh.
The better moment in that
Right.
scene too is when she like does the toe raise thing.
Yeah.
Like that impresses them more, and I see like I'm impressed by that. Like that looks awful.
That was pretty cool.
Something I've never seen before, but ugh. That's a nitpick. Anyway.
I think it's fair. The runtime I think is worth it. By the time you get through like the first hour, I am kind of sold on them. I think you can make an argument that like, and maybe it's because it's been imitated and memed to death, but like this does feel a little bit stock, like just kind of like what it's kind of become the like Google image for like what we think of a romantic tragedy as, because it did it so hard. I'm not like it did it well, but it more so just did it really hard. So yeah, you can make whatever dirty jokes you want out of that.
I didn't have any. It just
Okay.
sounded funny.
Yeah,
No.
I heard myself after.
We'll think of some if you want. Now that you said that, it
I
seems
think
like you want us to.
I think everyone's filling in the blank there. Yeah, I think though like the amount of time does work for it. Certainly better than like I mean we've talked about probably easily a dozen movies at this point on this show where we're just
Yeah,
like,
we've definitely done more than 12, Evan.
Well, I was gonna say yeah, a lot more than that. But I was gonna say like
No. I think I've
where,
only done 12. You guys have done more than 12.
That's true. You might be around 12 at this point.
When am I going to start getting paid, guys?
So once we get more patrons, and once Anchor or Spotify starts like letting us make ad revenue, join our Patreon, guys. We have talked about several movies at this point where we've just gone like
More than 12.
Right, more than 12. Where we just kind of like look at the romantic subplot and we're like, oh right, it was 2003. They just did that back then. And I feel like in more modern, like present times, I feel like romantic subplots are not quite as common. But if you're gonna do it, I hesitate to use this movie as like an example because most movies are not afforded this much time. Like you don't get the entire length of a movie to set up your romantic relationship and then the
Is
other
it really
half
a
to do other
subplot though?
things. In this, I would not say it's a subplot. I'm saying in
Okay.
other things. Like I would say it because it's basically the main plot of the first half. Like,
Yeah.
there's
And if it
truly nothing
is a
else.
subplot in something, like in a sci-fi movie or something, it usually feels tacked on. It usually feels like they added it in to, sell to audiences or whatever, and it's like very, very underdeveloped. And usually that means the love interest is underdeveloped, which
Yeah.
is not great.
Yeah, there's so many examples of that. So like I think
I'm a little disappointed Jack didn't say punch me, I bleed.
there was a deleted scene though where they're out in a hall after the dinner and she says, "I liked seeing you tonight." And he goes, "Oh boy, yeah." I was waiting the whole time to pull that.
Cal actually
met the-
confronts him in a hallway, and and is like, that's my fiance. He's like, I missed the part where that's my problem.
I'm gonna throw some ice in your eye.
I wouldn't
Rose,
wanna
I'm
fight
gonna
you either.
do what I need to do with you, then broom you fast.
Do what you need to do with that. No, that's her mom to her. A word to the not so wise about your little boyfriend. Do
About
what you
your
need
little
to
mom.
with him, then prove her quick.
We met the quota.
Yeah, I was sitting on I think runtime is important for like because we've seen it happen. I feel like every biopic is just like here's the protagonist meeting their love interest. Next scene they're getting married. They leave it at that. Especially if you're going to hinge so much on this. Do you need the full hour and a half or whatever it is? I don't know if you need all of it. I think it does pay off. They make that time worth it. I just hesitate to point to this as an example because most of the time you're not going to get. If your movie is doing something other than your romance subplot, like even if they're approximately equivalent, like you got to be a little bit quicker than that with getting through those scenes. You might not have as much time for like the back and forth that they have here. But I think it's worth it to have all of it in here. What else did you guys think about how it uses the runtime?
I got a good question. Do we think the placement of the sinking works, or could it be at a better point, or could it work better at a different point in the movie?
Do you mean when they hit the iceberg and the sinking starts, or when the whole
When
thing
the sinking
actually
starts.
starts going down? No, I think the midpoint, and we'll get more into it when we talk about the tonal shift and why it worked. But I think it's like perfect timing. It kind of hits you out of nowhere, but
Like an iceberg.
it's
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. It's like right at that point where you're really starting to feel comfortable with everything, where you feel like, okay, I'm on board with Jack and Rose's romance. I feel like,
I think they're
there's
gonna
the
make it.
possibility of them being happy. I think they're going to make it. And then obviously, like, it's impossible to not know what's going to happen. But imagine watching this movie and not knowing that the ship is going to sink. You think this is just a lovely story on a boat, and then you get hit with an iceberg. Like,
I
that's
think some
effective.
Gen Alphas might be able to have that experience now because they might have missed the memes. Like, I don't know if like
They're not as
anyone.
popping anymore.
But they should
Yeah,
also know what history is and understand that the Titanic sank in 1912, I feel like.
I don't think I
I mean, if
ever
they don't,
did anything on it in school though. Like I only knew about
I
this
remember
outside
learning
of
about it
school.
in school.
I didn't.
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
I was actually struggling to remember, like, because this movie is older than I am. So growing up, I honestly can't remember, like, what my prior knowledge was. Like, did I just hear people talking about this movie and knew what happened because of that? Or did I think there was, like, a Magic Treehouse book that was about the Titanic that I read, but that might have been the most of it.
I think you're right. I think because I also read this, I think I remember that one.
Yeah. Did you never read those, Jelani, Magic Treehouse?
Is that a Titanic for kids?
No, they like go to a
No,
bunch of
well,
different
that book
historical
is.
things, but they had one of them was on the Titanic.
I know of that series.
I think yes, I think it is in the right place. Perfect feels like a strong word. I think it does the Psycho thing, a little bit of like lulling you into this sense of security where like you maybe haven't forgotten that they're gonna sink, but there's so much narrative momentum that you're not really thinking about it until you're like, oh, right, this is going to happen too. And then you get the whole rest of it. And I was thinking, like, as you asked that, I was like, oh, but could we, like, have less time with it? Like, less time with the sinking. I mean, like, could you make it start later? And I think my answer for that is also no. I think you need it to be especially because this movie is named Titanic. If it was named something else and it happened to be set on Titanic, you could maybe get away with that. But if you're going to name it that, this better be the definitive Titanic movie, and I think it is. And a lot of it's because like we see the whole disaster. Like nobody's going to one up this. You're not going to be more accurate. It's not going to look better than it does here. I mean, and that goes into a lot of things that aren't runtime, but I think the placement is part of it. So, short answer, yes, I think it is the right spot. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so too. Because it's not only is it at a good spot where it's like, okay, it's at a point where like Jack and Rose are in a decent spot. I mean, they do the third act breakup like right after it hits the iceberg, but I think just before they hit, they're in a decent spot where you're thinking they can make it as a couple. And then the latter half, it's really important to have all of that time because I think the build-up is really important. Like, them trying to figure it out. It's like they're going through the stages of grief, really. Like, them trying to figure it out and thinking they might be able to save it, talking to the dude and saying, no, we can't save this. People coming to terms with it as it's slowly sinking the whole time, the water coming over where it initially hit the iceberg and that's slowly rising and people fighting and everything that occurred in that second half is, I think, just really important to have because it felt real. It's terrifying, but I'll get into that in the Angels topic.
Yeah, I'd agree. It kind of shows like the true face of that society that they're on where like they were saying like women and children first and like yes, that's true, but at the same time like there's one part where I think the captain is upset because these lifeboats can hold like 50 people. I think they said like something crazy like that, like 50,
yeah,
60
he saw
people.
12.
And he saw like 12, and it was probably a boat full of like the upper class who just wanted to get off the ship, and they just left. And it's like, no, we're filling these boats up, and as many people are getting off as possible. Like, we know we don't have enough, but we're saving everybody. I think it was like, I don't remember how many passengers were on the ship, but it's only like 700 survivors.
1,500.
Out of like,
That sounds right.
I think you're right. I remember there being more. I thought there were like closer to 2,000. I could be wrong, but I think you guys might be right. But yeah, it's an insane amount of people that like didn't survive because of that. And I think that showing that societal unraveling within this microcosm, it really does add to it. So I think that like spending as much time as we did on the sinking was important. I think it would have detracted from the movie if we didn't.
It's what we're here for one thing.
Yeah.
Again, this is like, it succeeds at being the definitive version. Like, one thing I was thinking about a lot...
I'd argue The Legend Goes On is a little better, but...
I mean, yeah, we didn't get to see the rapping dog, so, you know,
yeah,
is it even that good?
I don't know. I think it would have cleaned up at the Oscars if we had a rap.
Yeah, it could have gotten that 12th and 13th. I mean, Party Time versus My Heart Will Go On, like it could have won all the Oscars instead.
Yeah.
So two things that I was kind of tracking with in terms of both, like, this is kind of getting into like how it balances the two halves, but a lot of work is
You say that as it's split behind you. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I don't know another way to say what I was trying to say. So, God, we were winning the pun game. It's accidental and intentional. So look at what it's doing in the first half versus the second. Like, we get to just see a lot of the boat in the first half while everything's fine. Like, we see the back, we see all the lifeboats. We're shown, like, we don't have any point of view characters go down as it's taking off, but, you know, the iconic midpoint sex scene takes place after they pass through all of these, like, engines. So we see that too. And we see the lower decks, we see the upper decks, we see, like,
iconic.
Yeah, it's like all of these.
I'm stuck on iconic sex scene. Was it iconic?
It's been memed, the hand on the I feel like that's been memed. The hand on the glass.
Has it? I don't know.
Oh, it has. Yeah. No, it has.
Okay.
It has.
I've seen that memed. But you get to see a lot of the boat. That pays off later on because, like, I feel like we get a really good sense of geography. Like, I think I understand where everything is on this boat.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big accomplishment. And it all comes into
One
play
might say a Titanic accomplishment.
A Titanic one.
I'm not gonna stop until the episode's over. So
there's so many opportunities for it. That pays off, and also the characters that you set up. Like, I was kind of decrying how Cameron writes them, but I think it's a good idea to have a lot of characters. And you also show us. You were talking about the historical figures. One of you, I think, it's important that we meet Ismay and the captain and Andrews. They're showing off the boat to Rose, and it's giving us, like, context for what's going to happen later. We know there's not enough lifeboats. We know that, like, Ismay thinks it's unsinkable. That's all, like, work that's being done in the first half. And even just giving us Tommy and Fabrizio and Molly Brown, like, those are characters that show us, like, we have somebody to latch onto at the most interesting point of the disaster at each point that it's happening. And you, like, even just sending Jack and Rose down to the lower decks during the early part of the sinking, like, you manage to craft this narrative, and some of it, I think, is, like, they kind of have to force it into this place. But we are organically seeing the, like, part of the sinking that's most important at every step along the way. Whether it's happening simultaneously or it's just kind of like the early stages, we're seeing all of the stages of this disaster happen, and we have a point of view character, or at least some familiar face to go along with at every single point, which is, I think, a smart way to do it. And especially if you're going to make your movie 3 hours long, like, I think that is a good use of runtime.
I like how well they portray, like, how people are acting during this crisis, especially too, like, the Titanic took like 2.5 hours to sink, and I think that, like, giving us probably a good, like, 80 to 90 minutes of just ship disaster, it definitely does highlight just how slowly this happened, and you get to see, like, each of these things happening bit by bit. And I think that, like I said, I think that adds to how this disaster would have felt at the time. Like, very quick, but also very slow at the same time, and, like, kind of like you don't know what's happening initially. And also we get it gives us time to get a lot of strong moments with characters that we'll see in, like, one scene and that we may never see again. Like that one scene where it's the screaming kid in the hallway, and then, like, we get so much just in that one scene. We see where they're like, can we save him or not? Or do we just run? Like, you see that moment of hesitation, and then Jack runs and he grabs him, and then, completely misunderstanding what's happening, I guess his dad comes from another hallway, and he must have been off grabbing something. He's spazzing out so much because of what's going on that he runs toward the door that's about to flood them with water. Like, it's just a good, strong moment, but we never see those characters before or after that. And at the same time, like, we completely understand every bit of what's going on with them. Like, it's just very effectively done, but we have, like, so many moments like that, and I love that.
And then that's also paralleled by the crying kid that Cal leaves behind and then goes back for to use to get onto one of the boats.
Yeah. And then I wonder, that kid stays with him on the boat, I guess? And then I guess what
Yeah.
happens to the kid after that?
I
Because,
think
like, when
the
we
kid
see
makes
him.
it.
Probably just left him to fend for
Yeah.
himself.
I think he gave the kid to one of the ladies on the boat, I think.
There might, yeah. I feel like
I think
might
he
be
hands
right.
him off, like, here, take him. And then I think
Yeah.
doesn't he get off the boat again after that? I think.
No, he definitely stays on a
No,
lifeboat.
not at that point.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that's
we
when
know
he
he
stays, because I think he
survives.
gets off to go find Rose a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But that's the final stretch where he gets on the boat and he stays on the boat.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the I was gonna bring up. Not exactly that part, but that's the only place where I feel like the runtime like stretches out more than it needs to. Having Jack and Rose like as the lower decks are flooding, like when she goes down to save him with the axe and they come back up, that's fine. Then when they get chased back down, I was like, you don't need that part. Like that's just more than we already saw it, and I think there's more interesting things happening elsewhere in the boat at that point. I don't know exactly how
Sure.
much time it takes up. I feel like it's maybe about 10 minutes. But
Well, it adds a lot of time because now they're back under,
They
and they
have
have
to
to get
swim,
back up
yeah.
from under the boat. Exactly. So, like, they're kind of back where they started. I do like that, and I want to get into why in my topic. As far as, like, what you said, like, you're not wrong. It kind of puts them back to square one, and it just adds more time, like, with sequences that we've kind of seen before, with them having to get, like, through the watery depths of the
right,
boat
it's
and everything.
not like I honestly just get them confused every time I think
It's
about
not
it.
a different
I
enough
think
sequence.
I forgot that it happened because I was like, wait, they already were in the water. Oh no, there's more water in
Yeah.
like the lower part of the boat.
Also, am I crazy? Or so when that happens, they're getting chased down with the gun, right? Did they swim? I feel like I saw them swim into a part of the boat where there's so much water. And then the next scene, it cuts to them running through a completely waterless part of the ship. And then in the scene after that, they're back in the water again. And I was just really confused on, like,
You
how that
might
even
be
happened.
right. I don't know because that
I don't
like
remember.
all those parts
It's
just
not
blend together
relevant.
for
It's just,
me.
it confused me so much when I was watching it. Like, I had to rewind. I'm like, wait a second. That doesn't seem right.
I could
It seems like
believe
they-
it, but I'm not sure.
The trivia pointed out a lot of continuity errors too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I bet there's some. I can give most of those a pass. I feel like I kind of take issue with that because it doesn't feel like it adds a lot. My only other note, and then I want to get to your topic, Angel. So apparently, I saw this in the trivia also. The runtime of the 1912 sequences is equal to the actual time that it took the boat to sink, 2 hours and 40 minutes. To me, that's kind of a lame flex. Like, if you're going to do that, I feel like either show the sinking in real time, which I don't think would have been the right move here, or make the whole movie that length, which might have been the move, because we were saying, like, get rid of the frame story. If you get rid of that and maybe, like, whittle down a few other points, I think 240 is a pretty good length for this. Maybe 250, let some stuff, like, you might be crunching it a little bit at 240, but I think it could work. And if your goal is to like just be like, hey, we did like the time, then just make it the whole movie. Like,
How long was the movie?
I think like
3:15,
3:15.
but I think 3:07 without credits.
Yeah, 3 hours
Okay.
14 minutes is what IMDb says.
I don't remember, or maybe I just wasn't checking probably. I don't remember seeing 3 at all for the thing. It made me think it was shorter than that.
No,
No,
it's,
yeah, it's definitely over 3 hours.
yeah, not by a ton, but it is. Yeah, so that was the end of the topic. I just think this is an example of it because there's a lot of long movies out there, but I think length just should be proportionate to, like, make it worth our time. And I think there's a lot of places where this does make it worth our time, and just a couple where it doesn't. But it does earn a big runtime. So I wanted to look into that. Angel, let's go to your topic.
Cool. My topic is how to handle a tonal shift. I never realized before how completely different the back half of this movie feels compared to the first half because, like we talked about, the midpoint, which I noticed as soon as I was watching it, is the exact moment when they hit the iceberg. it goes from, your typical romantic drama and really just does become like a straight up disaster movie. And I feel like in a lot of versions of this, like Poseidon, we mentioned before as an example, like there's a little bit of setup, but the setup would have been like the length of that frame story setup, like maybe 20 minutes. And then they would have been like, all right, break into two. It's immediately got to be the ship's going to hit the iceberg, the ship's sinking. Like we've done sort of the minimal amount of time we need to set up these characters, but people came here to see the ship sink. This movie doesn't do that. It spends, I think, an ample amount of time giving us sort of almost a full story, getting us on board with this love story and understanding these people and appreciating the grandiosity of the ship. And then we kind of gradually lead up to and hint at what the second half is going to be. Like you were talking about before, we get all these hints about there's not enough lifeboats, the water is freezing, it's going to hurt really bad if you jump from, the back of the ship, Rose, so maybe don't do that. But we get these little hints that, something is going to go wrong, but they don't change it tonally to be sort of foreboding. They don't make it ominous. They just kind of add these little things in, they pepper these hints throughout while still maintaining that, like, the focus of this is like the romantic drama between Jack and Rose, and I really appreciate that. Other films try to do the same kind of genre shift. First one that came to mind was Last Night in Soho, which I don't know if you guys have seen it, but
I was just in Soho yesterday.
But was it your last night in Soho?
I was there last night.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess by default.
I guess by default, yeah. But that's one of those movies where the first half, it's like almost this dramatic coming of age type story, and then you get to the midpoint, and it kind of just suddenly veers into horror. And like, I kind of understood what Edgar Wright was doing, but again, there wasn't really enough build up to it to make it work. Another example,
it's not a clean handoff, as I recall.
No. I mean, it's definitely interesting, and it was a fun experiment to like watch him try to do. And there's elements of both halves that I think do work really well. But I also think that like because it's so jarring, it takes you out of the narrative a little bit. Another example was one of the films we actually did, which was Sunshine, where we also talked about
Sunshine.
Genre shift. And that was an example of how not to do it, because that movie starts off very like contemplative and very like, focused on like emotional human moments between these characters, sort of like the etherealness of space. And then all of a sudden in like the last act, it kind of turns into a slasher movie. And there were not even hints that situation could really happen. There were no hints that the tone was going to shift at all. It kind of did not seem like that's where it was going. It almost felt like it was changed at the last second as they were writing it. It doesn't work well in that case. And it's because, again, the shift itself is very jarring. There's other films where it works. Actually, one you mentioned before, Evan, was Psycho, where they kind of do the same thing this thing does. They spend time building up that tension. They get you invested in the characters. And that one does have a rug pull. But the reason that it works is because we got so invested in Marion Crane and what was going on with her. And then all of a sudden, she's just gone. She's the POV character we've been following. And now new questions are popped up. So then we have the tension of the second half of like, we still don't really know what happened. And now we have new characters that are looking for this character that we were already invested in. So that's a situation where a rug pull works because it built up the tension and sort of moved forward with it. So this movie also ramps up the tension and builds into it, but in a slightly different way. What it does is it handles it well by shifting the interpersonal conflicts into that disaster situation, into new ones that didn't exist before and having, all of that proper setup brought to light.
Have you guys seen Barbarian?
Yeah.
Barbarian is another example of one that kind of does that shift. I do like that, but I think it works better the first time. Like, it works, it's one of those where it works really well when you don't know what's coming, and I think on rewatches it may not work as well.
It didn't work for me first time.
It didn't work for you either? Yeah, see, I liked it, but, like, I think upon rewatches, like, thinking about it, like, it was just like, oh, why are we changing to this thing? It's sort of it's compelling because it's such a major shift, but it's also, like, we still have questions. Like, it didn't answer questions, and then, Like, it just added more questions and then it cut you off and, like, it makes you want to know what the next thing is. But that's another one where, like I said, it's not going to work if you know that's coming because you kind of already know the answer. So even if there's a setup, like, I don't think that's enough to really invest you in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That same guy is making that Weapons movie. It looks, I'm not going to see it in theaters, but that looks interesting, and it is raising a lot of questions, but I'm not sure those questions will be answered.
Yeah, I think I saw a screenshot from that that's making me think it's going to be a little more typical than I initially thought it was.
He said it goes crazy, like before. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he did a good job with Barbarian. I'm gonna see it. The reason that I think this shift works really well is it spends that whole first half on characters, like you said, Evan. It sets up all of these interpersonal conflicts. You have the love triangle, not even really a love triangle between Jack, Rose, and Cal, but you have this tension where
It's a love
Rose is kind of
intersection.
yeah, the love intersection. It's one of those things where like Rose has already been forced into the situation in order to save her, her family from becoming destitute, which means, just living like regular people, which funny enough, Rose then does, and she has a much more fulfilling life after that, basically starting from nothing, but that's a whole other conversation. But, it sets that up. It sets up that Cal's clearly, you know, an abusive, possessive person that ultimately, like, he's very dangerous and that he sees Rose more as a thing to have and to own than as an actual person, which is the exact opposite of how Jack sees her. He has a lot of respect and empathy for her, and a lot actually like she has agency in their relationship, which is something that she's was never going to have with Cal. And then you get to that midpoint, and like I said, we're already on board with the two of them. It's working really well, and when they shift into this new disaster movie genre, they use those interpersonal conflicts to add to the story. So you've got scenes like the scene that you were just talking about, Evan, where Cal is chasing them under the boat. Everything that Cal does in that second half is all based on that interpersonal conflict that they've already set up. They never lose sight of the fact that these characters have all of these life problems before, and that those aren't necessarily going away. And that ultimately, I don't think he really thinks he's going to die. I think that he's under the impression that he is going to survive. So the thing that matters to him is keeping possession of the person that he thinks he owns in this case. So that motivates him to, not immediately get on the boats and abandon her, but he wants to take her with him, and he wants her to, like, choose to go with him and choose to leave Jack also. So that adds to it. And then we have all these little character moments, like we see how good of a person Molly Brown is when she's the one to speak up and say, we need to go back for all these people. You see as their whole world unravels and you start to realize, like, those little small petty things don't matter as much anymore, but they are still invested in them. And it motivates all of their actions. It doesn't just become a movie purely about survival. And you see that in little moments. Like, there's a few moments at gates, but there's that one moment where they're trying to get out of the gate, and that guy almost leaves them behind, but, like, he's still a person, and I don't think he could live with himself if he didn't, so he actually tries to help them out, and then he drops the keys, and then he's like, I'm sorry, and he runs away. But you can see, like, it doesn't take away from the person that he was before just to survive. And I think a lot of movies, especially disaster movies, tend to do that, where everyone just becomes like a terrible person, like a zombie.
I think you get a good balance here. That also doesn't, like, that guy is new. I don't think we saw him before.
Oh
but
yeah,
we
that's
saw
one of those
other people.
one scene characters. Like, we may have seen him in like other scenes, like in passing, but I don't think we spent any time with him.
But I think it's not, like, there's still kind of setup that's done with, like, just the collective people on the boat. So you can kind of tie it there, I think.
And I was actually watching an interview with Cameron, and I think I know why he kind of set it up this way. And he was saying that, like, in order to care about the ship sinking, you first had to care about the people on board and the ship itself. And I think that's kind of what that whole first half is for. That whole first half is to, we get that montage showing how grand and beautiful the ship is. We get to see people appreciating it. And we get to see people, like, honestly just having fun. Like, it's not one of those class conflict movies where, everyone is always yelling and hates each other all the time. Like, we get to see different groups, finding happiness and solace in even bad situations. That's what the whole focus of that first half is. And then when the iceberg hits them, we're seeing it in the way that they would have seen it, where it really does just kind of come out of nowhere, but their lives from before still existed, and it takes them time to really come to terms with the fact that, like, this is really happening. They may not make it out of there. That's the reason why this movie can be 3 hours and not really feel like it drags, except for, like, a couple of exceptions. And I think it drags in certain scenes in the way that, like, a lot of disaster movies drag, where you get a lot of repetitive scenes of, like, there's only so many times you can watch them go through flooded hallways and, yell at people to let them onto the lifeboats and things like that. Like, there's not a lot to mine in these movies for, like, diverse types of scenes. That's why we get repetitive sequences like, them getting chased down into the boat and then they have to swim again.
Or people getting on
Like,
lifeboats. There's a lot of scenes that are largely just
and people fighting about getting on lifeboats.
Yeah.
People waving guns at each other and, like, being like, "Get back or I'll shoot you."
In a different movie, we might have spent less time on that. I think Cameron knew he was allowed to do a bit more, so he stretched it out. But you could have done that in 1 or 2 scenes instead of, like, the 5 or 6 that he has.
Yeah.
But, I agree with all of what you're saying, though.
The way to fix that may have been as simple as, like, go more in depth into certain other characters. Like we were saying before, Fabrizio had a whole storyline that got cut out. He essentially, like, disappears for a lot of the second half and a good chunk of the end of the first half, honestly. Like, he
I don't know
and
that
Leo
it's a
are very
problem
close,
that
and then
needs
they're
to
not.
be fixed. Like,
No.
I think it does fine with that for the most part. And the tonal thing, like you're saying, the handoff is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty seamless.
It turned into a horror movie for me. I don't like water, any body of water, and this movie showed me it isn't just about, like, sea creatures you might find lurking in the water. Because I don't even think anything is shown to be in the water when the ship sinks. No one's attacked by sharks or anything, so this doesn't turn into Jaws, which is a good decision. But you guys have been describing it as a disaster movie, which is way more accurate. Still scary, though. I'm talking about the tone of it all and everything. It's straight up the ship and nature that kill these people, aside from a few people who get shot. To me, that's terrifying. It's terrifying. I've explained this in the Final Destination 3 episode. Go watch that. But any sort of horror is scariest to me when the enemy is faceless. A force of nature that can't be reasoned with. It's not like the freezing cold water was chasing these people, trying to kill them. It was just being water. It was just being water. That's it. The same with the sinking ship. It hit the iceberg and it couldn't, like, mend itself. It couldn't apologize to any of the people that were dying inside of it. Same with the iceberg that sank it. Like, what's scary is there's no reasoning with anything in this situation, and that's the case with all disaster movies, I guess. I don't think I've seen many disaster movies. That's why this is also scary. You can't beg water not to drown you. Well, you can, but good luck. You can't ask the smokestack not to crush you. You can't ask the Atlantic to turn on the heater so you can stop violently shivering. It straight up just turns into outlast the water or don't, and that's scary to me. So, the shift worked. I say all that to say the shift worked for me.
Really quick, this is a minor tangent thing probably, but I was listening to something today and I forgot about this. I think they said the sinking might not have happened if the guys who were supposed to be watching for the iceberg weren't watching Jack and Rose instead. So would you say that Jack and Rose caused the sinking of the Titanic?
I've never liked that they kind of give room for that implication. Just don't have them in that part of the boat.
Yeah, they're fictional characters. Like,
and they're
it's
like,
fine.
these 2 people are making out there. They're, what? There's an iceberg. Like, you don't need to justify
Like, woman, that's
it.
crazy. What's that?
Like, how did nobody see that? Like, because it's pretty close by the time they see it. Like, how are they the...
I think there's a reason. Like, there's a visibility issue at night. Like, you may not see it till it's right on top of you.
There's 2 things that I think set it up. One is, I forget who mentions it, but at some point beforehand, they do mention icebergs. They're like, oh, that'll make the icebergs harder to see. Like, the water's too still. or something.
I think that's what it was. Because if it's against the water, it's going to blend in. You have to see it juxtaposed against the night sky in order to see that there's even anything there.
Yeah, I think there was something. I think it might have had to do with like the water like being too still around it. They set it up in some line, and there's also the thing of Ismay saying that he wants the boat to go faster. So that, when you're anyone who's ever driven anything, when you're going fast, it's harder to turn quickly.
Yeah.
So we have those. I think that's enough justification. I think this works for a lot of the reasons that you were saying. I think a lot of it is like we're kind of talking about things that aren't tonal, but I think it all adds to it because you were saying like there's still, Angel, you were saying things that like carry over with the relationship story, and I think that matters a lot. Like it's not as if those things just fall away. Like we still have those plot lines continuing as it goes on, and they are affected by this. So it's not like they're completely separate. I think that helps with the handoff. It's a little bit smoother. There's something to the fact, I think, that it's a negative shift. There's a lot of horror movies that coast off of the assumption or just foreshadowing something going wrong. Like, we're just like, oh, it's a horror movie. Like, it's gonna go bad at some point, so that just keeps us there. And you get away with that here, too. Like, we all know the one thing that's gonna happen, so the more you like drag that out, like I think there's certainly a breaking point where like you could have had too much of like pre-syncing. I don't think this falls into that trap though, but you get a bit more of it because there's a promise of things will go wrong, and like we've talked about, like it's not as if everything is perfect in the first half. There's still plenty of conflict, there's still plenty of narrative momentum. It's not like maybe you as an audience member individually might be like, well, I'm just waiting for the ship to sink. But you have plenty to hook you in without that. I think it's also a disaster that's able to have a more organic first half than a lot of others because it's the maiden voyage. You kind of get the excuse of like Ismay and Andrew showing off the boat because nobody's ever ridden it before. So it makes sense that they're like showing Rose and all the other upper class people like, here's all the lifeboats, here's all these things. I want to like show off Titanic's size. So we get that exposition. And there's also just kind of a bigness to the, like it's an event anyway. They're talking about like make the morning papers in New York. Like this is already a big deal before it hits the iceberg in world. So there's like other stuff happening. You don't get that with like a movie that this has been compared to because it basically just tried to replicate what this movie did. Pearl Harbor doesn't work as well for two reasons with this, I think. One, there's just not as much of an organic first half. Like, the characters are in Hawaii for the first half of the movie, I think, and they're just kind of messing around doing stuff. There's still a love triangle, I think. I haven't seen it in a long time. They certainly make a whole lot of the first half of that movie. It also kind of has the problem of continuing after the end of Pearl Harbor. Like, there's another 40 minutes of movie that's, like, I think it's the Doolittle Raid or something.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this. Patrick Williams did a video on Michael Bay, and he talked about that there's, like, a whole added sequence after for not really a good reason.
I remember it just not working. Especially, again, if you're going to call your movie Pearl Harbor, don't, like, the end of the movie should be the end of the event, not this other thing. If you called it, if you made it like some other generic World War II type title, you could get away with that. But when your movie is Pearl Harbor, like, it should just be Pearl Harbor. And I think most of why it's like that is because, at least the first half, the extra 40 minutes, I don't really know if there's much justification for that. But the first half, I think, is just Titanic had come out like 3 years before. So they're like, okay, well, let's find another disaster to do this with.
This one also has boats.
It also has boats, and they had two love interests this time.
Oh boy, of course they did. I've never seen this film.
I don't recommend it. I don't remember it being especially good. But I think it's a good counterpoint. Like, it was very clearly an imitation of this, and I don't even know if I fault them for it. It's just not the right way to approach a disaster like Pearl Harbor, or this is a movie I haven't seen, but I think we've brought it up on other episodes. I know there's this Robert Pattinson movie that's like Surprise
Remember
9/11.
Me.
Yeah,
Remember Me. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what the whole first... I think it's just the whole movie happens, and then you see at the end that like he's in one of the Twin Towers on September 11th.
Yeah, yeah. It's a pretty normal romantic drama movie up until that point.
You don't even see it. You just it's a note or something. He leaves a note or something.
And I don't want to speak too much on like whether it works there because I haven't seen that movie, but I think
the general consensus is it doesn't.
Yeah,
which doesn't surprise. Like it's always sounded like it wouldn't work, but I think if you are gonna do something like that, because there's a few 9/11 movies, but there's a few.
There are.
I haven't
but
seen
that's also
any of
not
them.
a movie about 9/11. Remember Me isn't about it at all.
Right, and I think that's a very different kind of disaster where like the thing about 9/11 is things were happening in a lot of different places that day, so it's a lot harder to make like the definitive 9/11 movie the way you can with Titanic because there's only one setting for everything. You don't.
And I think it's also more upsetting because it's not a disaster movie. It's like it's an attack. It's like terrorism. The same with Pearl Harbor. Like it's more difficult to handle because there are people actively against those that are affected. So it's not like it was just like a volcano erupting, like humans attacking other humans. So it's more upsetting that way.
It's also in context of like a larger thing. Like Pearl Harbor comes in, like that's a World War II movie because World War II had been happening for years by the time Pearl Harbor happened. And then 9/11 doesn't exactly end, like that's the beginning of the US going to war with, I think it was Iraq, that we ended up going to war with for that. But like it's not really a self-contained thing the way that Titanic is. And there's not a first half. You can't just really have a drama about some person working in one of the Twin Towers for 45 minutes and then, like it's the day of. Like that just doesn't work the way that it can here. So I think it's smart. Go ahead.
Has Pompeii been made into a movie?
It has, but I haven't seen it. I know
it's got Kit Harington and Emily Browning. I haven't seen it either, but
disasters along those lines, I think. I don't know if that movie worked or not, but that where there's
I've
not
heard
like
mixed things.
Where the reason the disaster happens isn't man-made, it's less upsetting. It can work better, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I think you just got to take it at its own merits. You can't just copy-paste, like, here's how to make a movie about a disaster, because everyone, like, this is completely different. Like, the factors that lead into this, if you want to take it from, like, a thematic perspective, like,
Why wouldn't you, Evan?
Well, and I think Cameron does, though, is the other thing. But he's looking at, like, what is the cause of this? It's hubris and it's classism. Those are, like, the things that cause so many people to die. It's the hubris of Ismay wanting to, like, show off his boat. And the fact that there's not enough lifeboats to save all these people. You kind of leave it at that because, like you were saying, Jelani, it's not the iceberg's fault. Whereas with Pearl Harbor, it's not quite that simple. There are all of these pre-existing factors that lead up to the event. There's a lot of
context that we wouldn't have gotten to see in a movie like that. Because you can't, like, unless you do voiceover, like, or unless you're seeing, like, a lot of the backstory. Or you get a Wolverine montage where he's going through all of World War II by himself.
Well, I think there is another Pearl Harbor movie. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I think we were shown clips of it in history class. I think it's, is it Tora Tora Tora? I think it's something like that. That one, I think, does more of, like, showing the more political context before that event. But to my memory, the Michael Bay movie that was imitating Titanic doesn't really do anything with that. It's all this fictional romance with their three leads. So, and you don't get, like, they're just hanging out in Hawaii. It's not like there's any characters in Japan because, you know, that's the origin, is Japan attacks the US. So you can't really do it the same way. And same, like, I don't really know what the deal with Pompeii was, or again 9/11. Like, how do you
Chernobyl.
show Chernobyl?
Chernobyl
Yeah,
is
and
another.
that show, I think, as I recall, does a very good job of it. But
It's
there's
also
completely-
man-made, but it's not anybody attacking anybody. They just didn't do the due process. Or whatever.
Yeah, it's negligence
Yeah.
in that case. And I think that show does a great job of it, but I think it's just an
Scary as hell.
important thing to look at that, like, I guess we're sort of more talking about disaster movies than your topic, Angel, but, like, I think this did a really good job of figuring out, like, what is the right way to tell the story of this disaster.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you were talking a lot about the hubris, and they set that up really well, especially in that boat scene.
That one
Where they're
boat
talking
scene.
about the one boat scene. I meant the lifeboat scene.
Yeah.
The scene where they're talking about, like, well, they thought that it wouldn't look as aesthetically pleasing to have so many lifeboats up here, and that sets up the fact that there's not nearly enough lifeboats to get everybody off the ship, and the water's too cold for people to even try swimming. So people are just going to go out there and they're going to freeze to death. And you already have had all this setup of everyone saying, "Oh, this is an unsinkable ship. Nothing could possibly happen. The ship is incredible." Even like the shipbuilder, and you also kind of get this subplot with him where you kind of see him slowly over the back half of the movie realizing how completely wrong he was and how he probably blames himself for a lot of this stuff, you know? Which is
I love his
it's
line,
good
just
setup.
like, I wish I had built, I'm sorry I didn't build you a better boat. Like, you don't need a
Yeah,
ton of
that's a
time with
really
him.
good ending
And
for him.
Victor Garber, I think, does a pretty good, like, I think he elevates
he's
that
so
role beyond what it could be with his performance. Like, some of
He's
the
such a
other,
great actor.
I feel like he lends a humanity to that character that, like, I think the guy who plays Ismay does a good job, but he feels pretty goofy, and it's good that Andrews doesn't.
There's
Yeah.
there's trivia to the ending, or the last time we see him in the movie is, well, the ship is sank and he's on the same boat as Molly Brown. Earlier in the movie, Ismay says God himself couldn't sink the ship, and that's offset with his ending where Molly Brown says God Almighty as the ship splits in two.
hmm
I hadn't picked up on that. It is a good mirroring, though.
Alright, so my topic is the ending. I found myself invested in the characters aside from already knowing the ending, mainly Jack and Rose. But even though I remind myself every few minutes everyone's gonna die, it didn't help me not grow attached this time. It usually does. It usually works. I think that speaks strongly to the performances, writing, and directing. Well done. I enjoyed it. A lot of people, I didn't feel bad about them dying because we didn't get enough time with them, so maybe that's why I felt so attached to Jack and wanted his ending to be altered. I knew, and that's also part of the frame thing, like, I knew Rose would live, so I was way less attached to her. She also gave me Disney princess vibes as far as, I don't want to do that, I'm so trapped. And it works for some Disney movies, but here, it didn't work for me.
No, Jack, I
Um,
can't dance.
Yeah, I don't think I ever felt bad for her in her situation once, other than the physical and emotional abuse from Cal. I was like, okay, that was like, I'd feel bad for anybody, but outside of that, I don't think I cared for her at all. I could have sworn Cal would die. I think the fact that he lived through pure selfishness is very realistic, and I wasn't dissatisfied because he didn't die. Plus, we got some sort of satisfaction in Lovejoy's death, so I'm happy Kathy Bates' character lives, Molly Brown. I liked her character as a character with new money and how she treated Jack because she'd been on the same side as him before. She wasn't born into her money. So giving him her son's suit was a touching moment, as was the dinner scene that followed. The ending was, it was a little less sad to me because we don't see Jack take his last breath. And I think that would have hit harder for me personally, especially while Rose is not even paying attention to him, looking up at the stars, putting on a concert in her head. I don't know what the point of that was. It was weird. I'm not sure seeing him take his last breath would have hit for the general audience. I don't know. All that being said, I did want Jack to make it. I hate it. I hate this. I hate it when movies or TV shows have a theme song that plays when two people are falling in love, and then they bring that song back when one of them dies or is remembering the other. Only because that shit tugs at my heartstrings. It works almost every time for me. It happened in, spoilers for this show, but Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And I cried then, man. Like, I hate that. So the My Heart Will Go On song playing when they're falling in love and whatever, and then it playing once you find out Jack's dead. Once Rose found out Jack was dead, I was just like, oh god. The ending in the current, that's the ending of the 1912 thing, but the ending in the current time felt so empty. That's why I was saying, just drop the frame, man. I don't think the current thing was needed at all. Rose tossing the diamond into the sea. Can y'all answer this? What was that even supposed to signify? Letting go of the past?
Letting go of the past.
I don't think it does, though. Like,
because you're telling me she waited until she was 80 or 90 to let go of the past? No.
Well, this was her whole plan. She's like, one day, some random man will call me up and be like, hey, I'm going to take you back to the Titanic, where there isn't anything that you're looking for except closure. And in order for that to happen, you have to say that you have this diamond, even though you could have sold it years ago, and just lied about knowing where it was.
Yeah. Or is it in her will? Like, who is it supposed to go to in her will?
How much more closure do you need than watching your lover die in front of you? Like, I don't know how much more closure you need. He's gone.
The other thing that, like, gets me with it is, like, because I'm at first inclined to say, like, oh, you have the MacGuffin and you're dropping it back. It's called the Heart of the Ocean and you're putting it back in the ocean. Great. She doesn't care about the diamond at any point. It means nothing to her.
Yeah, like, that's a good point too.
If it was significant in some way, if it had been a gift from Jack and it was but it's not. It's from Cal, who she hates. So, like, it doesn't have sentimental value to her. It really only has monetary value and she doesn't cash it in. Or even, I thought, like, her mom's gonna be out of a lot of money now that this wedding's off. Send it to your mom.
She could have been living it up by selling that.
That's what I've been thinking too. Like, there was a way to use this diamond thing. Like, she had to go and live a whole new life at the end of the movie, right? Why didn't she sell the diamond? I would have believed it if she had done that. Like, oh yeah, I sold it years ago, and that's what funded my ability to make little clay pots. And,
yeah, that's how you know that she was fictional. That's how you know she was fictional.
The Great Depression happens 2 decades later. She didn't think about doing it then. Like, I'm sure she got on some hard times financially there. If it meant something to her, if it had symbolic meaning, then I would be okay with it. That would be fine. Like, plenty of movies pull that off. But it doesn't. Like, I don't think that diamond symbolizes anything, really, at any point. It's a MacGuffin, and it's treated as such. There's truly no value assigned to it, like, emotionally.
Is there anything where, like, is there a way to fix that? Like, who gave it to her, who it's from? Like, is there a way to remedy that?
Well, oh, you mean, like, to give it symbolic meaning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, okay.
That's
wait.
Tough.
What about the drawing? Because she's wearing it in the drawing, but why is she wearing it in the drawing? Is the thing. Like,
oh yeah,
they set it up that way. She's wearing it in the drawing, and that's how they know. Oh, this lady knows about the diamond or whatever, right? But the thing is, there's no reason for her to wear it in the picture once we get to that scene. Because we watch
Is it a middle finger to Cal?
That's what I was going to say. I think it's a middle finger to Cal.
Yeah, it could be, but they don't focus on that enough, and it doesn't feel like we reach a consensus on that. So, it feels very empty, the use of it.
I would be okay if she just gave it to Bill Paxton. Like, and maybe he throws it back in the ocean, which would still be kind of cheesy, but like...
He's been looking for it for 84 years.
Guess what? I asked, was there an alternate ending where she tosses the diamond overboard in front of Bill Paxton, or was that just a meme I saw? I don't remember. And I didn't make it up. There was an alternate ending.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where he taught... Have you not seen it?
No.
It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I'm linked it in my notes. It's 5 minutes.
I've only seen clips, but bits of it, but it's so funny.
He starts laughing like a maniac and then asks her granddaughter to dance. I don't know why. But
they kind of hint at there's like a romantic thing there at least.
Yeah. For what? For what? For what?
There's no reason for it, but they kind of hint like she's like they smile at each other a bunch. I don't know.
He's like, I never really got Titanic, I was down there the whole time. And she's like, that's hot. That's really all it is. And like it feels
For
like
what?
it's yeah.
That's the
No,
line they
you
wouldn't
tell
let
me
James
for what?
Cameron put in the script.
You tell me for what?
I don't have a name. I feel like you can cut it.
God, what was the point of that?
Like even just have here's an easy fix. Her granddaughter is with her on this boat, listening to her tell this experience, which I think must have been very awkward for her granddaughter at a couple of points.
I mean, she was crying, but like,
Yeah,
she also described she doesn't like. There's no like cheeky moment. I thought that was gonna happen, but there's no like moment where like she cuts away from the car scene and is like, "Well, I'm not gonna go beyond that." No, I mean, they cut away in the movie, but did she go into full detail?
yeah, I know. I was like, oh man,
Oh,
I feel
God.
bad for like this woman having to listen to her 100-year-old grandmother describe like getting drawn naked by
That was the
this other
funniest
dude.
scene to me.
No, and then the car. No, I'm talking about the car scene after.
That too, but like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny because that's the moment that they cut back and remind you there is a frame story, and it's the
They
most
do-
awkward
right.
moment of the film. And it's so funny because you just see everyone completely frozen. No one has anything to say. Like, they could have even said, when are we going to talk about the diamond?
The diamond?
Was the diamond with you in this car? Is that why this is important? Or
Yeah,
do you
that was
just want to
another
tell us
road.
this?
That was another.
This is just
note on
very,
that.
very. I feel like this is just very accurate to like grandparents, like a
Yeah.
stereotypical grandparent where you just ask them something like, "Hey, Grandpa, where'd you get that cool scar on your hand?" Well, it all started when I first met your grandmother. What?
I'm glad
No,
you asked
wait,
that,
don't,
Sonny.
don't.
But in this
don't
case,
go
it's
into
not that. It's so there's this guy I've never told you about. That's not your
Yeah.
grandfather, but I
It's
took his
so
last
much
name
worse.
anyway, and like
So much worse. Maybe that's why she was crying by the end. She was like,
those are not happy tears. I think it all kind of works, but like it is just to wrap up the MacGuffin thing. Like that must be in her will. It's supposed to go to somebody, right? She didn't know this was gonna happen. Was it written in her will? Like I don't want any of you to have this like gajillion-dollar diamond. Go row a boat out somewhere and drop it in the ocean. That's what I want. Like no, I don't believe
Evan.
that that's what she wanted done with it.
You've become very invested in the Hobbit series. Does she have dragon sickness? And that's what this is.
Dragon sickness is only a thing in the movies, so
But does she
don't
have
think-
it though?
I don't think so. I think
Is she like, this is my shiny precious and I want this?
No, I think it's more of like I don't know how much I like believe in this because it's kind of like pseudo psychology, but she seems like she kind of wrote the book on like main character energy, and that feels like a very main character energy moment, not just because she
Huh.
is the main character. It's like, this precious thing, don't need it, and I'm gonna be on a balcony in a robe in the wind, and it's the ocean, and I'm dying tonight, and like
Someone else could need it. Bill Paxton went through 3 divorces looking for this thing.
so the ending, the alternate ending, it essentially like mirrors when Jack first meets Rose. She's like, "Don't come any closer," because she's already holding it over the edge, and they're like, "That's the diamond. Don't do anything crazy." They say some things. Bill Paxton asks to hold it. He's like, "Oh, God, it's real." And then she tries to take it back because she's like holding the chain. He's like, "Can I just hold it?" And he holds it, and then she pulls it back, and he kind of like holds it tighter, and then she gives him a look. He's like, "All right, you got me," and he lets it go, and then they all watch her toss it into the ocean, and then the bearded guy's like, "That really sucks, lady," and then storms off.
I'd be with him. I think it's a good idea they cut that ending though. Like that's a much
Oh,
worse
yeah.
scene.
And then
Worst
it's
possible
not
ending.
over. That's when Bill Paxton starts laughing like a maniac, and he's looking up at the night sky, and then he asks the granddaughter to dance, and then that's it. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go with this. I don't like the original ending of the frame, but one of the comments said this feels like the ending to a comedy, and I think that's accurate, because that's so much worse.
Yeah,
It's so much worse. Evan, watch it when you
dude.
get a chance.
I
I'm
will.
looking.
I'll do it at some point after this.
It's like a different movie. Why did they do that?
Yeah,
I understand the instinct to want to call back to, like, her meeting Jack, but it doesn't do it effectively. And again, the diamond doesn't symbolize anything. It's just throwing money down the drain. That's all that's happening.
It's burning $1 billion in front of somebody's face.
Like, and it almost feels in character. Like, that's part of why it's a little hard to get on Rose's side. Because, like, yeah, she, like, shirks her upper class upbringing. But by the end, it seems like she still doesn't really understand the value of the money she has. Like,
it's very Disney princess of her.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a magic stone, since she's a Disney princess. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, maybe if she gave it to Jack, he would have survived. I think it would have been more symbolic and, like, cool if we found out that actually the diamond sank with Jack. You could justify that.
I would have been fine if she threw it in the ocean then with Jack. Yeah. So it's like, here, Jack, you can be rich in heaven.
Or like it goes with him.
Like, that would have been okay.
Like, she doesn't care about it. She doesn't even know that she has it until she gets off the boat. And then it's just like, oh, what's this doing?
Put it around his frozen neck.
The point that I think we're all kind of making now is that, like, because, like, a lot of people would say, like, oh, you're missing the symbolic meaning of it and you're focusing on, like, the practical. The reasoning we're focusing on the practical aspect of it is because we can't figure out what the symbolic meaning is supposed to be because it's so MacGuffin-y that there's a mix of things that the symbolism could be about, but none of them have enough to really be considered like, oh, this must be it. Like, they're not all
I don't even know what I would get it confused with, though. Like, you're saying there's a mix of things, and, like, maybe, but I also think it...
Well, we talked about several maybes. Anything. We talked about, like, maybe it's about letting go of the past. Maybe the fact that she wore it in that one scene is a middle finger to Cal, and, like, you know, the picture could be why she held on to it for all this time. But none of that is ever focused on enough for it to be important enough for it to even matter. Like, she could have just...
I think it's weak sauce. Yeah.
Have the ocean take it. Because there's no way it would not have swam out of her pocket. Because when Billy Zane chases them down into the thing, they're swimming, and she's got the coat on. There's no way the water wouldn't have just pulled it out of her pocket.
She gets back into the water again to blow that whistle. So even if she had it...
It would have been funny, at least thematically, for the ocean to be like, I'll take that back.
Yeah, this is kind of a strange thing to say, because you usually want to make your characters make decisions. I think having it not be her decision to lose the diamond is somehow better. I think because it just doesn't cheapen her character. I hear you, because I think I had just kind of assumed because it feels symbolic for her to drop it back in the ocean, but...
This is the Green Knight all over again. This means
I was
something.
Thinking, well, but I think it's the opposite problem, because in the Green Knight, there's too many things you can attach meaning to from,
That's
like,
true.
all these things from.
Okay.
In this, it's like, there's kind of nothing. I think at best you could say it's letting go of the past, but the diamond does not symbolize that.
I think that Cameron thinks that this part of the story is deeper than it is. And I think that...
It's a patch for not having anything. Like, it's just kind of holding the place of something that could be symbolic, but he didn't do the work.
Exactly. There's other things to get invested into, and there's a way to even make this particular piece of symbolism work. It's just so focused on, especially in the frames, where that, like, it really is just to set up why Rose is telling the story in the first place, which you didn't need. You could have just put them in the past, and it would have been fine.
This is a worse movie, but it's a better way to handle a MacGuffin. Mission Impossible 3 has a MacGuffin called the Rabbit's Foot, and you never know what it does. The 8th movie retrofits this in a way that I think is kind of pointless. But at the end of the movie, Tom Cruise asks Lawrence Fishburne, "What's the Rabbit's Foot?" And he says, "All right."
Fishburne is in it?
Yeah, he's in the third movie, and only that one. He's the best part of it, too. Well, second best to see Philip Seymour Hoffman. Anyway.
I was about to say, Philip Seymour Hoffman's the best part of that movie.
He's the best part of that movie. The end of Mission Impossible 3, Tom Cruise asks Lawrence Fishburne, "What is the Rabbit's Foot?" And he doesn't tell him, because it doesn't matter. We got through the whole movie without needing to know what it did, and it wouldn't change a thing if we did know. So that's fine.
It looked cheap anyway. It don't look like no real diamond. It wasn't even...
But I think
it's plastic.
Like, I think it does
like
say something that, like, Rose doesn't see any... Like, she doesn't place a lot of value in material wealth. That's okay. But other people do. Money is useful. Like, give your granddaughter an inheritance.
Bill Paxton could have used that. Again, man went through 7 divorces.
Now it's more. Now it's over
It's
3.
even more.
Man
He
went through
7
12
whole
divorces.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a fairly simple change. Rose gives the diamond to her granddaughter. Rose dies that night. Her granddaughter takes it and is like, I don't feel right taking this. It has too much history to it. It belongs to Titanic. I will throw it over the edge. I don't want this money. I think that's actually better.
Nah, give it to Bill Paxton.
Or give it to Bill Paxton. I'm fine with that ending too. It's a little messy, and it doesn't need to be. We don't care. We don't care what happens to it.
Put it around the neck of the boat they're on. And say, now you're the Titanic too.
The boat's
And
neck.
then we get the sequel.
Titanic Rising.
The boat's neck, Angel. Put it. I don't know where that would be.
I think it's almost as goofy as what we actually get, so I'm not really mad at it.
Almost.
We've been on the diamond for a lot. Do we want to move to other parts of the ending? Because there are other things to talk about.
I mean, I was
That's
gonna
all I
yell about
had.
the diamond for a few minutes anyway, or I was gonna try not to, but we already did, so.
Okay.
My last point. Like y'all, I agree that Rose lived a full life. I think we said that already. But
Yeah, we talked
maybe
about it.
maybe show, I said this too, maybe show that through a montage of pictures rather than just use the frame in general, my opinion. But that's it. I ain't got no more notes. Everything else from here on out is freestyle.
I didn't, forget it, but I did really like the just panning across all the pictures of, showing the life that she had. I clocked this time that it shows her riding a horse, which is a thing that she talks about with Jack, and he said, don't do side saddle, and she's not doing
Don't give me the
side
horse
saddle.
thing. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't even realize I teed us up for that.
Oh, I love that so much.
Was that 3? I think that was 3.
I think it's
That was 3.
I like that moment in this, though.
Get right back on the horse. Don't give me the horse thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Rose has red hair too.
Yep. Yeah.
She has the same main character energy as MJ.
I think she has a lot more main character energy than MJ.
MJ would have sold the diamond.
Yeah, she would have. We talked a little bit about the, I won't rehash this too much. I don't mind that Jack doesn't stay on the door and that he dies. I think it's a stronger ending. Obviously if you're invested, you want Jack to live. But I think it's a stronger ending to have Rose live than if her and Jack lived happily ever after. It shows more growth for her. And old Rose says, he saved me in every way that a person can be saved. And I feel like they do sell that well in the story with, she is now free to, live as her, full self.
So
now.
the water made Rose grow.
Yes. Symbolism. Because flowers. One other thing that... Because there's the very last shot of, Rose basically going to heaven, I think is what we're supposed to assume.
Yeah, I think she's meant. I think she's meant to be dead at the end.
Yeah.
What?
And
And now
she
she's
sees
with Jack.
She
Oh yeah,
sees
because then she's with
Jack.
Jack.
Oh, when you go through the thing, and then the ship fixes itself, and then everybody claps.
I think it's
That
supposed
was
to be
weird.
her getting to be with Jack again.
That's crazy. Imagine, didn't she marry? Imagine
Yeah.
her going
Someone
to heaven.
else was
and...
saying that today about how, wait, so is her other husband just waiting in, a heavenly gas station or something? Just, waiting for her to show up and she's with some other dude?
That's crazy.
I wanted to bring this up because former host of our show, David Jones, responded to my Instagram story when I just posted that I'd watched this. I didn't, say anything to tee this up. I got his permission to read this on air. He says, Rose is genuinely a terrible person. Everyone talks about the door thing. It's not even that. She dies, and she doesn't see her husband or her kids or her grandkids or anything from the long life that she built. But she sees a twink that she spent 2 days with 80 years ago.
Oh my god, Jesus!
That is 100% David.
It's,
Carter.
yeah,
That's funny.
Angel, you haven't really met him, but, it's very in character
What
for
the
him
hell?
to say.
Okay. I agree that she's pretty terrible. She doesn't see anybody that she spent her life with. It's just this dude.
I thought you were gonna say, I agree that Jack is a twink.
No, I Do not agree with that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I agree that Rose is a bad person.
I was kind of more okay with it. I was thinking about it before, like,
This
we
rose has
recorded.
thorns.
Oh, she does punch.
Imagine if Every Rose Has Its Thorn was the song that had played.
I think it would have been out
when
by
Jack
this point.
sinks.
And
then
I bet there's memes. I bet there's memes of it.
I guarantee you there is.
I don't want to defend it too hard because I kind of like I've always been inclined to agree. Like, yeah, this is a guy you met for 2 days and you had like probably 100 or so other people that could have been as important or more important in your life, most likely. What I am more okay with about it, like, and maybe it's just because it's another DiCaprio movie, but me being me, I was thinking about the end of Inception, where DiCaprio Cobb says goodbye to Maul. I'm thinking about it like every day. But he says goodbye to Maul, and she says, like, you promised we'd grow old together. And he says, but we did. And Rose does get to grow old and have a life, presumably, with this other person. And I do sort of like the nod to, like, now she gets to have the life she didn't get to have with Jack. I'm sort of okay with that. I do, and maybe she's just got Titanic on the brain again because, you know, it's been brought back to her after all this time. But it does feel a little bit like it invalidates. Like, I hear everything that other people are saying. I am kind of inclined to agree with what David said, and he's not the only person I've heard speak to that. This guy, like, yes, he's an important figure in your life, but the most important, I find that hard to believe. It does work for, like, just tying the story together, sure.
Yeah, like, within the context of this story, this ending does make sense, but it's when you think about the broader context of everything that it becomes an issue. But imagine if this scene had been like, oh yeah, this is Phil. I married him off screen afterwards. Like, no, none of us would have cared, but then you wouldn't have had that scene anyway. Like, this is a good thematic tie-up for this story, but the fact is, like, she had a whole other life after Jack. And, like, she's literally there with her granddaughter.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the solution is not necessarily to show that other guy. That doesn't do a lot.
No.
But I think it might be a better ending to just... I kind of get it, because, like, I think you have two options. One, you end on, like, the shot of all the pictures of her life, which I think would be a good last shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that you're promised to get a last shot of DiCaprio, but, like, just because he's been there the whole time, it is kind of nice to just have him be in the last shot of the movie, and that's kind of the only way to do it.
He swims to the surface, and he spits water out, and
he's Aquaman.
Cuts to black, and it says, Jack Dawson will return in Titanic 2.
She drops the diamond into the water. He comes back. He's like, "You're so stupid, Rose. This thing's worth like $1 gajillion."
No, even better. She drops it. His hand bursts out of the water, and he catches it in midair.
Then it's really horror. Then it's a really horror. There's a real horror movie.
Guys, we should just make this ending happen.
Guys, are we making Titanic? Are we gonna make Titanic?
Are we gonna make it Titanic 2?
Titanic.
Well, no, the way to do it, you have the two eyes. That's the way to do it, if you ever make the second one.
Titanic.
Or it's Titanic.
Oh, wait, there's already two eyes in Titanic.
Oh, yeah, that's the problem, yeah. This was already
they're too separated. They're too separated. That's the problem.
Did we have anything else? That was the end of my notes.
I think we covered a lot. The one thing I will say, like, we've talked a lot about how, like, it's hard to get invested in Rose. I did, as annoying as she could be, I did sympathize with her situation. Like, I understood it. I think that we kind of touched on it before, where we were talking about, like, it seems like a lot of her setup is a little bit out of order. I think we would have been a lot more on board with her had they set up, like, because initially Cal just kind of seems like a jerk, and then we realized, like, no, he's a genuine monster. But it happens so late. We also learn a lot about, like, why her mother is so invested in this partnership way too late in that first half. And I think that sort of detracts from some of it. We hear a lot about her explaining it, but because it's coming out as, like, voiceover and it's a little melodramatic, it comes off as, you know, rich girl problems. Even though later context elaborates on it and shows us, like, no, that's really not the case. That being said, though, if you think about it in that broader sense, I was invested enough in her that the part of the ending that I liked was that she kind of got to fake her death, take a new name, and even though her mother and Cal did survive, she got to escape them and sort of start over. It would have made more sense if she started over by selling the stupid diamond, and then I wouldn't have even been mad that she told all of them a 3 to 7 hour story and just, wasted all of their time just so that she could throw it into the ocean and it could be back down in the Titanic. I mean, maybe they'll find it now, but probably not.
It was
I mean,
daytime when she got there.
it was, and then it was nighttime
Yep.
because
That was a long story.
she spent so long telling that story, just wasted everybody's time. It makes me angrier than it should. I know that it's really not that important, and I know that they chose this, but it would have been fine had she just given them the diamond afterwards. Or if we had found out that she
Thanks
had
for
used
listening
the
to my
diamond to
story.
start a new life, and that the whole point of this was that she kind of wanted to be where she was with Jack, and then it would have been symbolic because she would have died there with him in her own way, and then the ending would have made more sense. There's simple ways that this could have been tied together a little more cleanly, but another solution would have just been, we don't need the frame story. That would have been, you could have cut out 20 minutes of movie.
And more if you get rid of the MacGuffin. Like, I think there's rewrites to be done.
Yeah.
That said, it all does work. Like,
Yes.
It's inefficient in some places, but, like, I think we've been making some valid knocks against it. It does work. Like, and
For
even,
the most part.
I don't fall in love with Rose in this movie, but I buy that Jack does.
Like, absolutely. And
I
they
think
have,
and that's
from
more
what
important,
I've heard,
I think.
They have a relatively healthy relationship too. Jack is the opposite of Cal, and I appreciate. I was watching something on it today, and they were it was like a relationship therapist talking about why this works, and he was basically saying a thing is he's always leaving the ball in her court to make the decision. He's never trying to force her into anything. They never have this whole love conquers all thing. It's kind of he is always there's always his emphasis on everything is her decision and her choice. And as much as he wants to be with her, she has the freedom to choose not to. And I think that's why we're so invested in their love story, because they both treat each other as people.
Yeah, it does feel very equal, I think.
Exactly.
Though I don't like it has a third act breakup, I don't mind this because, one, it doesn't last forever, and two, the way they mend it is just Rose comes to the realization he didn't do it.
Oh, you mean okay? Because I was third act breakup. You mean when he gets accused? I think she kind of knew right away.
Well, that's what she says, and I think that line does a lot of work. It's he says, "How do you know?"
Realizing I
didn't
already
do
knew.
It. Yeah, I already did, and I'm yeah, I buy that. And that's credit to the writing that comes before, because I think there's lesser versions of those early scenes where it's I don't know, maybe you don't have the proof that Jack wouldn't just screw you over like that. I think she does at that point, and we believe it, on both ends.
Just based on every one of his actions up until this point, absolutely. Yeah. Part of the reason I was so sad when Jack died is he's such a good character and just a good person in the movie, and I've come to peace more so with the fact that they both could have fit on that door, because they could have. They actually, I think they then proved it later through other tests that they absolutely could have both fit on the door and it would have been fine. It does make a little bit of sense that they were in crisis mode. Jack's motivation, Jack would have let her be on the door, and in that situation they may not have had the mental faculties to make a decision that would have saved both of them. You know what I mean? So I kind of get why it happened that way, and like you said, it is a stronger ending if he dies. It adds to that element of life is precious, and it would not have hit as hard had he stayed alive.
There's two other things that are just incredibly... I'm going to be a little bit nitpicky here. It's in defense of what the movie does. I think there are very practical reasons that Jack could still... say they did share the boat. Rose is within an inch of her life by the time those people show up. Every other person aside from... I think she says 6 people got rescued when people came back with the lifeboats. It is not a stretch to believe that Jack would just die from exposure. Rose probably only needed a few more minutes before she would have been done too. or at least like
Oh yeah,
passed out.
absolutely. She got saved by Mr. Fantastic also. Sorry.
That's what
I
I
did
said.
notice that. Oh yeah,
Oh,
sorry, I missed that.
I waited here. I'm sorry. Yeah, she got saved by Mr. Fantastic. It was great.
Yeah, I don't think it's a stretch to imagine that like every
Ha!
other person
Stretch!
died. Ah, God damn it. I don't think you need to justify it as much. People are like, oh, they could have shared the board. Okay, sure. Like, you win.
They really are missing the point when they say that. And I didn't used to feel that way. I kind of do now. Like, I get why it works. I think it's the frustration with Rose in general.
It's just become the go-to lazy criticism of it. Like, I think there's like 5 Vines about it. And Vine was like, this movie was like 12, 15 years old by the time Vine came around. And we're still, like, at this point, it's almost like when I see somebody play Zelda and I point at Link and go, is that Zelda? Because everyone knows that it's not. Like, it's the most lazy joke you can do for this thing. Like, I don't make that joke because I'm serious. I make it because it's a stupid joke, and I think it's funny because it's stupid. At this point, I think any person who seriously is like, they could have both... Yeah, we all know. Like... It's not original at this point. Maybe it was in 1998. In 2025, I'm fine to just go with it. The water's cold. He can drown. Yes, sure. Every other person dies.
He doesn't even drown. He just freezes. He's cold.
Yeah.
And actually, I forgot about like the sea of dead bodies too. At that point, like I didn't even think about like all of them are gonna die now from exposure, and they do. Like by the time the one boat comes back, they're all just gone already. And it was because they deliberated, like, is it worth trying to save these people because they're going to overtake the boat and turn us over? It's like, no, just go and try.
No, they had a point, I think. Based on how people acted on the boat, on the Titanic, I think they would have overrun the boat.
There's some balancing there. Like, I don't think... And I think it's okay that we don't spend a lot of time on that, because that just feels like a little bit too morally gray of a place for this movie to go. It's playing in very... big, broad, archetypal storytelling. I think if Denis Villeneuve directed this, or like Damien Chazelle, that could have been a direction to go. Like, you make it all about, like, how do we actually manage this crisis? I don't think it's the right move for this movie. So they put a little line in there. Like,
now I want to see Denis direct Titanic.
What did that person do?
Dune. Arrival. Blade Runner 2049.
Prisoners.
I never finished Dune.
Our next episode is going to be Stargate. That's Angel's pick. I haven't seen it, so that'll be fun. We have our YouTube channel, both this one and the one with the video essays. Like and subscribe, share it, do all the things that I'm supposed to say as a good YouTuber that I never say. We have our Patreon with bonus episodes. We also have our Instagram and Blue Sky. The show is at INT Analysis Pod. I am on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at ev_Wes. Where are you guys at?
I'm on Instagram, Jelani T. Kelly, YouTube, Jelani T. Kelly, and Actors Access Casting Networks. I have Backstage for the month right now as well. All Jelani T. Kelly. Your boy just did his first SAG project as of yesterday, as of recording this. So I keep telling y'all better book me while you can, because I'm
before he's in Dune 3.
Before I'm in Dune 3, your boy's gonna be SAG soon. So.
And yeah, I'm on Instagram at AngelsArc15. That's ARCH. And then I'm on Letterboxd at Serenity Cinema. I keep saying that I will post reviews, and I mean it this time. I'm planning on it at some point. I have plenty of reviews up there. I want to start doing reviews for the movies that we do here, sort of geared toward my points that I make here, so that there's bonus content for people to look at.
I don't check most people's stories. I check my brother's and Evan's.
Yeah.
I check a few.
Well, Evan, you post you'll post your rankings on Letterboxd. Like I saw one the other day.
Yeah, I have a lot
on
of
Instagram.
I have a lot of Letterboxd lists. I put the Letterboxd reviews on my Instagram stories occasionally. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
Stay safe.
Bye.